Hello, 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 and welcome back to the You Are College Bound show. My name is Felicia. I'm one of your academic advisors, and I'm also the squad leader of Squad 5. So, Squad 5, if you're here, let me know. Before we dive in to this week's episode, though, I have a statement I'd like to share. We would like to acknowledge, with respect, the Seneca Nation, known as the Great Hill People and keepers of the Western Door of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy. We take this opportunity to thank the original caretakers on whose ancestral lands the University of Rochester now stands. Thank you to Dr. Jessica Guzman-Ray from the Paul J. Burgett Intercultural Center for sharing this land acknowledgement statement with us. For those of you who are part of the RCSD, you didn't have school today, and so we want to take a moment to acknowledge today and celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day. So, what did you do with your day off? Did you sleep in? Were you one of the seniors that came to our office hours to get your college applications done? Throw in the chat what you did. Maybe you slept in. Maybe you just caught up on work. Let us know what you were up to. If we didn't get a chance to talk to you today, we missed you. For our seniors who came and worked on college applications, thank you so much for doing so. All the extra effort's going to pay off, I promise you. But remember, too, that if you were off, maybe you checked in with your squad leader. You do have to check in twice a month for those one-on-one meaningful conversations to get that college-bound pie slice, earn that $20. And for the other part, you also have to complete your financial literacy or college application checklist item Brady told us about last week. If you're a little confused, you can go back to last week's episode to check it out, or you can check out your grade level Google Classroom. If you haven't heard of the grade level Google Classroom, check in with your squad leader and they can help connect you. But by completing that assignment, meeting twice and having a one-on-one meaningful conversation with a squad advisor is the first two steps to getting your stipend. So again, keep going in the chat, letting us know what's going on, what you're doing today, how you're loving the show. But remember, in order to get credit for watching today's show, you have to fill out the JOT form. It's located in the description below. Fill it out, and you might notice that you have to fill out stuff about the show you're watching. So maybe you pull it up and you fill it out as we go. But either way, make sure it's submitted by the time the show ends. So today, we have two alumni here, which I am very excited because we have some University of Rochester and some Rochester Institute of Technology discussion going on. But before we welcome them, I have an even more exciting thing that I'm excited for, a little throwback to our summer with jokes from Asha Bibi.
So I have this friend, right? His name is Mark. And he always takes my words. So the other day I say to him, Mark, my words. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I was gonna make a joke about construction, but I'm still working on it. Why did the Invisible Man turn down a job offer? Just couldn't see himself doing it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the You Are College Bound Show, a alumni interview segment. We have here two UB alum who one goes to the University of Rochester, and one goes to the Rochester Institute of Technology. And I'm going to let these gentlemen introduce themselves, starting with Jaquino.
Hi, I'm Jaquino Barcelona. I am a fourth-year game design major at RIT.
And now we have the University of Rochester student. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
All right. Hello, guys. My name is Abdul Jabbar Saeed, former Wilson alum, current Wilson alum, Upper Bound alum, and former PA at Upper Bound. I currently go to the University of Rochester. I am a junior studying digital media studies and minor in computer science.
We love to see it. Okay, so today we're gonna have a little friendly competition between the schools. As you guys know, because you are UB alum, there's a lot of I wouldn't say beef, but there's a lot of discussion between what school is better, RIT or U of R. And I want to switch it up a little. You know, we always are on our own side, right? We are always thinking about what school we went to and our own side, and like always promoting and showing the good things about our school. But we're gonna switch it up. Okay, so we're gonna play a game, and it's UR versus RIT for today, right? And I'm gonna ask you a question about your school, and you're going to explain a little bit how whatever I ask you goes. So, for example, if I ask about the curriculum, you're going to tell me what makes the curriculum at your school special, right? But you have to, after you guys explain your perspective schools, you're going to switch and tell me why the other school actually has a better program. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. So the first question, like I said, is what is so special about the curriculum at your prospective school? So we're going to start with Jakino, and you're going to tell me what's special about the curriculum at RIT.
All right. Well, there's two things that stand out. First thing is co-ops are basically their way to internship. They're built into your curriculum, so you get like one or two. Most majors get like one or two, and you have to do those. And the other thing is an immersion, which is basically a mini minor. So like a bunch of classes like a minor, except maybe like minus one or two. So everyone has to do those. That's basically what makes our curriculum special.
Okay, thank you so much. Abdul, what makes the curriculum at U of R special?
All right. So the University of Rochester, like the reason why I believe it's very special is that number one, you're able to create your own major and minor. And also like it's just an open curriculum as well. Like there's not that much required classes to take besides like college-based writing. And yeah, similar to RIT, like we have like our own mini minor thing, and we call them clusters, which is basically like, all right, so if your major is in the natural science, for example, STEM, that's not a major, but it's like falls under like a whole bunch of categories. Like you will have to have a cluster in humanities and a cluster in social science. So we want you to be like the best well-rounded student there is.
Okay, yes. Okay, so now we're gonna switch it up, and I want Abdul, you to tell me why the curriculum at RIT is so interesting and so much better than the one at the U of R.
So much better. Okay. So for me, like since I'm a big NSBE guy, like, all right, so I'm the vice president of the National Society of Black Engineers. It's like one of the main things like we focus for our students is to make sure like they chase the bag, get the internship, get like try to like apply to co-ops and that stuff. But at RIT, it's like I wouldn't say it's guaranteed, but like it's required. So like you have to do it, you know? And honestly, like if you do get a co-op, then you have a higher chance of getting a full-time right after college because you already have like that big experience under your belt, you know?
Yes. So it's more, especially for the STEM majors and even any major, right? Having field experience is so much more beneficial for when you're like in the real world looking for a job, sending out resumes. You're absolutely right. So Jakino, tell me why the curriculum, the open curriculum at the University of Rochester is so great.
Well, basically, you don't have to take any classes you would find useless. So, like, oh, you have to take this one class that you know you aren't going to use upon graduating or in whatever job you're going into. Well, with open curriculum, you don't really have to deal with that. There's less stress that will be useless.
Exactly. So now you see, every curriculum has its purpose and prepares students differently, but the goal is to prepare students, right? So current UB students, especially seniors who are looking to apply to these schools, make sure you keep those things in mind. Okay, so for the second question, we're going to talk about room and board. How does it work at your school? What's something that's different or special, or just something that makes, and we talked about this, you guys, so please. So just something that makes students who are at the University of Rochester or IIT better prepared as students or as adults. We're going in that direction. So we're gonna start with Abdul. Something.
All right. So I wouldn't say like this is really different from RIT, but it's gonna be different from like a lot of colleges itself. Because I know RIT got this. It's like special interest housing, and that's also like if you're interested in like certain things, like there's gonna be like a floor that's designated for like that purpose, you know. And there's like Habitat Humanities at U of R. There's the anime floor, and yeah, we just have like a whole bunch of that, and then yeah, for housing. All right, so it usually goes by seniority and that stuff. So, like, one of the bad things is like there could be forced triples and that stuff. So what that means is there'll be a room that's supposed to be like for 2 people, but you force it for like for 3 people. But thank God there's COVID. That's the only time I'll ever say that. That's the only time I'll ever say that. Besides that, I would never say it. That just you would like either have like a single or like just one roommate, you know?
Yes.
But, and then like yeah, just the housing just gets better as you go up. Like once you become a sophomore, junior, senior, like for juniors and seniors, like their rooms basically like their suites are like hotels.
Yes.
It's kind of bit.
Can I interject? You said special interest housing. What's one very special house that we have at the U of R, and what's special about it?
I wouldn't say it's special interest housing. I think it should be like a permanent house. It's the Douglas Leadership House where I live in right now. So it's basically like it educates us about like the Pan African like diaspora, and like we fight for like social justice and like everything that comes around it, you know?
Yes. So we see that at U of R, there's a lot of options for you to meet people who have similar interests as you when you are talking about your dorm life outside of academics, right? And that's important, right? Because we want to have comfortable living environments. And Jakino, tell us a little bit about RIT's living situation.
So I don't really live on campus, so this is not really going to be as great experience.
Would you say that most students who go to the RIT live on campus or don't?
I don't know off the top of my head. I think like a good amount. Most of the freshmen, I'm pretty sure, live on campus, and more upperclassmen live in apartments or off campus or commute.
Okay.
Anyway, so from what I hear and things they're never seeing, there are some students that don't. There's some that don't really have furnished dorms, and like you have to go buy all this external stuff to really make yourself feel more comfortable at home. And like to help this, there's a thing called Goodbye Goodbye. So like at the end of the year, students give stuff away for it, and they'll sell it at lower prices at the beginning of a year. It's essentially a college thrift shop for your college survival. That's how you want to call it.
Yes, and that's really interesting. As if you're coming in as a freshman and you don't really have a lot of dorm equipment, you can go to this Goodbye Goodbye program and you'd be able to purchase it. And it's on your campus, right? So that makes it very accessible to students. And the fact that there's a lot of students, I don't know if you guys know this, but a lot of RIT students live around like the 19th ward, close to the U of R, because they tend to live, at least in my experience, what I've known of them, they tend to live off campus a little more, especially as they are like upperclassmen and no longer freshmen. Okay, so what makes it, what's beneficial of these programs for students? And I want you guys to switch again. So Jakino, tell us about the U of R and why that's beneficial to students.
So special interest housing, as Abdul mentioned, like RIT does also have it, and it really is great for establishing more connections and making friendships. And you can use that connection. And plus, since they are established programs, they expand yourself in multiple ways. So like if you're interested in anime, oh, you have more opportunities to do more anime events. Or like if you're interested in social justice, then you can learn more about what people are talking. You can learn more about how to participate.
Okay.
Even after graduating, you can still have those connections. So you know this person who also had this thing. You can talk to them, and you can discuss doing something that's similar to your housing thing. And this type of connection is a lifetime thing.
Yes, exactly. And connections in college and networking, those students, current UB students, I'm always harping on networking, always make those connections. And Abdul, why is the housing situation, beneficial to students at RIT?
All right. So honestly, for me, in my perspective, I think it's really good in terms of maturing and going into adulthood. Just like buying your own like furniture and that stuff, like owning your own stuff, and like just basically providing for yourself.
Right. And not only that, but having, if you're renting apartments off campus, you have renter's history. And that's important for when like you leave, if you're not living at home after you graduate, to have, already had renter's history. Continue though.
And like, yeah, to hop off of that, it's like, you're not really going into like a big jump after you graduate. You're just like a smooth transition, Even though it's a big jump like after you graduate high school going into college, but it's like the longer you do it, the more you're gonna get used to it. It's just like sports.
Yes, exactly. So you kind of get used to it. Okay, and the final thing, because we're almost out of time, tell me one fun fact or superstition or anything interesting about your prospective school. So we're going to start with Jakina. What's something interesting or a superstition that there is at RIT?
So a fun fact is every year campus tends to have some sort of meme-ish thing written down on sidewalks and walls or whatever, and it ends up becoming a campus joke.
Okay, what's an example of that?
So a couple years back, people just kept writing B's, and people responded "not here" in reference to a dorm had a little beehive above it, and people always had to write that there's bees in there, kept saying "not there."
Oh.
So people were all over campus about it just to be as a meme.
Okay, I was like, I thought they were talking about the U of R. I was like, no. That is funny. How about you, Abdul? Superstition or a fun fact about the U of R?
All right. Superstition, well, is that there's something called the Clock Tower, which is in Dandelion Square at the University of Rochester, and they say if you walk under it, then you're cursed, saying that you won't graduate on time. But honestly, to me, I think it's all jokes. And like they say, like even though a lot of people like didn't graduate on time, like by walking under that, it's like it happened for other reasons. That's what I believe.
Yeah. Yes.
But they said the only way how to like to break that curse is to go to the George Eastman statue in the academic quad and rub his nose. So like,
I didn't even know.
See that?
Do your research.
But yeah, it's gonna be kind of weird if you do that now because the George Eastman statue, he has a mask on. So
gotta stay protected. You gotta do it.
But yeah, another thing is that there is this one part of the library called the Stacks, which is like the top floors of Rush Reese, and they say that it's haunted, but it seems like it though. I'm not even gonna lie.
It's just people avoid so they don't have to study by themselves and quietly. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today at the UR's College Bound Show alumni interview segment. We love to see you guys doing great. Make sure you're study, okay? I know it's hard doing work from home and Zoom University, but it's definitely worth it. And yes, I wish you guys the best in the rest of the semester.
Hey, thank you so much, yo. Thanks a lot for having us.
Of course, we love to see our alumni always. And you guys are doing great. And I see you, Abdul, Mr. President. It wasn't President?
Right.
VP? I'm
Right.
sorry, VP.
Soon to
but it's a team effort. It's soon to be. You see, ambition. We love to see it. We love to
That's
see
right.
it.
Have a good one, y'all.
All right. Yeah. Take care.
Hey guys, this is your favorite advisor again, Kelly, and welcome to Kelly's College Corner. We're going to talk about the 2 colleges that are coming this week for a virtual visit on Wednesday, October 14th. SUNY Buff State at 11 a.m. and SUNY Cortland at 3 p.m. So SUNY Buffalo State is about 80 miles west of Rochester. So we're over here somewhere, and there's Buff State right there. It is part of the State University of New York system and is a public college that offers about 170 different academic programs. But like we spoke about last week, the demographics of a college is extremely important to make sure you have the best, most comfortable experience. But besides just looking at the student population, you should look at the faculty and staff diversity also. So even though Buff State's student population is known to be extremely diverse, it looks like they might be lacking a little diversity in their staff. So just always keep that in mind. Another thing to always keep in mind is the graduation rate. So SUNY Buffalo State is an extremely popular choice for students. I know a ton of students that have gotten there, especially in this upstate region. But even though a lot of students enroll and attend, doesn't always mean that they graduate. So see, according to this cute little graph on the right, this little pie chart, a lot of students did not graduate. Just something to keep in mind. Great school, but just something to keep in mind. Okay, so now SUNY Cortland. SUNY Cortland's about 2 hours southeast of Rochester and is also a public college in the SUNY system. They also offer a ton of majors, but the most popular one is teaching and anything in the education department. Now, Cortland is located near several major cities. So there's Cortland, you got Ithaca right there, Rochester, Buffalo. I mean, you can read a map. There's a lot of major cities around there. But always keep in mind what kind of geographic location you want your college to be. Do you want to be in Guam in the middle of nowhere? Do you want to be in the suburbs, or do you want to be in the city? Make sure you research with your advisor. Now, for Cortland, the admissions. See, a lot of students apply to Cortland, but they're taking less than half of the students that apply, and not really sure why a lot of them don't end up going there. It's a pretty good school. I've been there myself. But that is why to always work with your advisor, squad leader, whoever, in Upper Bound and Talent Search to submit the best possible application to make sure that you really display how amazing you are. So, Zoom information, SUNY Buffalo State at 11, SUNY Cortland at 3 p.m. For the SUNY Buffalo State, someone will be doing a virtual visit. But for the SUNY Cortland one, you're going to come to that Zoom link, you're going to sign in, and then I'm going to give you a link. And it's going to bring you to a live question and answer session with SUNY Cortland staff. But just make sure you come to the Zoom room first so you can check in and get credit. All right, guys. Well, I really can't wait to see you guys. Later.
Hi, my name is Marifer, and I'm here to deliver to you guys the healthy tip of the week. Our healthy tip this week is drink water. Stay hydrated. Did you know that 70% of our body weight is made up of water, and that 80% of our brain matter is made up of water also? That's a lot of water that you should be drinking in order to stay hydrated. With that said, we're going to be doing a social media challenge where we will have you guys use the hashtag URCB stays hydrated. And a way you can check if you're dehydrated is if you check your knuckles and you pull the skin together on your knuckles, and if it stays up, you should be drinking more water. And it looks like I need to be drinking more water. And that's all from us. Next is Felicia with the Indigenous People lesson.
Hello, everyone. So we are getting close to the end of our show, but I wanted to take some time and share some information about the Haudenosaunee Confederacy and the Seneca Nation that I mentioned at the beginning of the show. So the first is a 1-minute video clip from a woman who is part of the Haudenosaunee Confederation sharing a little bit about her people.
Where did the name Haudenosaunee come from, and is it okay for people outside the nation to use?
The name Haudenosaunee is an ancient name. It's an ancient name that means people of the Longhouse. People of the Longhouse, in this term, when we talk about the word, means a group of people and a philosophy and a way of life and customs that stretches over hundreds and hundreds of miles. And so that is our Longhouse, Haudenosaunee. It's a word in which we hope that everybody embraces this word, because that's who we are. And we adore being complimented in this way because it identifies who we are as citizens and people. It identifies our government and our customs. And so, yes, it's a compliment if you greet someone who is Haudenosaunee with this word.
All right, so on this slide, I have some symbols that might look familiar, might not. In the top left, if you're watching the screen, is the image of the Hiawatha, or the wampum belt is what I was always taught it was called in school. And it's the symbol of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy. Originally, the Confederacy was composed of the Mohawk Nation on the farthest right of New York State, or what is now New York State, the Oneida Nation, the Onondaga Nation, the Cayuga Nation, and the Seneca Nation. The Seneca Nation is where we would be in present day. It's in the Genesee Valley area, River Valley area. And the Seneca Nation is known as the keepers of the Western Door. Traditionally, they were responsible for protecting the Haudenosaunee Confederacy from people out west. They were really known for their diplomacy and willingness to work with other nations outside of the Confederacy. And the Seneca Nation are divided further through clans. So they are in the bear, beaver, turtle, wolf, deer, hawk, heron, and snipe clans. And those are all represented in the symbol at the bottom. The image that's from 1600 of where the land was and where the nations were changes a little bit, because that's from 1600. And in 1772, the Tuscarora clan or nation, who was living in what's present-day North Carolina, sought refuge and joined the Confederacy up north when they were seeking a safe place. And then just one more slide I have for you. This is a map from the 2010 census showing who identified as Native or Indigenous and where they're currently living. And if you can just peep at New York, it's kind of a small picture, I apologize. We fall into the category of having 3% or less of our population identifying as Indigenous or Native. You can see that westward is a lot more where the green and blue are, and that means a higher population who identify as Native or Indigenous. And I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that, while we're on Indigenous lands, obviously we don't have a huge population of Indigenous and Native people. And a lot of that is because of Western expansion, which caused things like the Trail of Tears and forcing Indigenous people off their lands. And then when European settlers came and brought diseases. So today we're celebrating the cultures and the people who still keep these nations alive. And we want to take time to recognize that today as you have a day off for school. And on my last slide, Just like when you write a paper, do a presentation, maybe you're sharing something on social media, you got to share your references. You got to check your references. You got to know that they're coming from credible sources. So here is a link to the different places that helped me put this together, a link to the YouTube video if you want to watch the full thing from the first slide. And thank you for listening, and feel free to look more into the Seneca Nation because it's pretty interesting history. And with that, we've come to the end of our show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember to fill out the description the jot form in the description. If you're on your computer, it's underneath the video. But in our chat, it looks like the advisors have been helping you find where to look. So hopefully you can fill that out. If you need help, just let us know. Remember that we have SUNY Buffalo State and SUNY Cortland for our college visits this Wednesday. Clubs, homework help, tutoring, that's all on Wednesday as well. And UB After Dark is on Thursday. If you're not, go ahead and subscribe to our channel so you can tune in every week because you never know what we might have. Maybe it's more alumni competition, or maybe it's just some more history. That's pretty important. But with that, have a great Monday. See you next week. Same time, same place, same YouTube channel.